everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's in the Tube, or welcome back. If this is your, I am trying to remember what episode we're on, the episode, the 15th, season 7 episode review for The Rookie. Hope you're doing well, hope you stay safe out there in the big girl world. I'm going to be moving around a lot this episode. It is getting warmer here in New York at the time of this recording. I am not wearing shorts. Usually I wear shorts to be more comfortable because I close off my area to make it more like a mini studio, get the audio quality good, and that results in me being trapped in a heat box for 30 to 40 minutes. So I will be moving around to get some air going in here, but I do apologize if you see me moving around even more than usual. But yeah, here we're now. I had to be reminded that we're in the final stretch of the season, and I'm just sad by it. The fact that we've already are 15 episodes into the season. We've had 15 episodes. Damn, we went by this season so fast. And I completely forgot when we premiered. I forgot it was late January, early February. I completely forgot when we premiered. But I'm like, damn, 15 episodes already. 15 episodes already. Huh. And we have 3 more left. We're going straight to the end of May. But either way, it's damn, the fact that we haven't even taken much of it, we only took 1-2 week break, and I'm like, as much as I hate waiting for The Rookie, I really do. If we just are starting these new eras of we're just doing straight runs of show, we're just doing straight run. We'll delay it till next year. We won't have to stretch out all the way from October to May. This is becoming a very smart strategy, and I anticipate that. And I think that hopefully we see more adaptation across the other shows on the linear network platform. But for the time being, I'm very happy and very sad the fact that we're already approaching the end of season 7. 3 episodes to go, 3 more weeks left. It's very sad, very sad. And I always miss those summers. I think ABC had a rare occurrence where they had a brand new show in the summer with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. during the last 2 seasons. Oh man, that was a long time ago. But maybe we can start double. Okay, I'm getting too far in here, but here we are. A new documentary episode. It's been so long. We skipped season 6. We just didn't have time for one. So the fact that we're back after season 5, it's been a couple years since we got a docu style episode of the show. And honestly, this was very entertaining. I was surprised at how much cuts there were from the show's history going back to the first season. Them also kind of, it kind of feels weird. This feels like a callback to the first season, as well as kind of being concluding this whole through line of a subplot we got during season 7. Honestly, I found it to be fascinating. I really did. The fact they were able to make it all work, and again, it speaks to the theme that I've been saying and constantly saying in almost all the episode reviews so far, is that they're finding ways to still make this creatively work. It's for The Rookie to be within its 7th season, coming up soon with season 8, possibly even another spinoff. The fact is that they're still making this core formula fresh and workable, that you're still attracting new people in, such as my friend, and allowing to have that energy throughout. So this episode is just another example of that. And honestly, like I said, I've been so disconnected from the live viewings because, again, I have so much going on sometimes, and I've also been on Daredevil camp for the last few weeks, and even this one, I got backed up on stuff I had to do, that by the time I got here, I completely forgot about the promo. I knew it was a documentary style episode, but I didn't even know what it was. And I feel like that's a great feeling to have, to go into these episodes without it. I just finished the Madlock week-to-week reviews, and the fact that I only watched one promo because I was just too hyped for the episode that I had to watch it. Otherwise, most times I'm not even watching these previews anymore. I have no idea what's happening next week, and I think that's great. I think that's very great, and the fact that this episode did so many cool things, and it's I really appreciate it. I really, really do. I will be remiss of the fact that I would want them to kind of go back, again, we're in the last 3 episodes. I'm really hoping for something really cool to wrap up season 7. I've heard a couple of interviews of the way 7 ends goes straight to 8, and I'm very excited. I'm very, very excited to see all that. But again, I want to get into this episode. But without all that being said, let's go for the Butcher recap and talk about this week's episode of The Rookie. So we begin with another documentary opener where our entire cast, Pseudo Gray, and sadly, we do not get Penn in on this, sadly. He's, I think, just fairly too new. We're just letting the core veterans do this, which I'm just at this point, they've done 5 to 6, now there's 6 documentary for this guy. honestly surprised they keep accepting to do this, considering the fact, like, well, Tim's disgruntledness, the fact that these are all just natural and like, what poises them to just automatically do that? Whether this is just a good PR thing to, like, get that, mid Wilshire's stations, like, getting involved in these, like, local documentaries to kind of raise awareness of the, the entire. I really don't know anymore. I really don't know, because I know this cast, like, half of this cast probably doesn't even want to do these things, and then you have the other cast that's overeager. So I'm like, it's a very well balanced bunch. But yeah, no, so they're getting suited up for another documentary. This time Nolan has a bit of a more personal connection with this one, as apparently the focal subject of this documentary, which again, I really don't know how fast the turnaround is. I feel like eventually the producer, who happens to is played by the creator of the show, which I'm just like, that's fucking funny. That's really hilarious. Is playing a documentarist, and the fact of, like, this just happened recently, and they kind of just want to move past this kid. Like, is this guy literally just tracking mid-Wilshire? Like, oh, that's a cool case. Let's do a documentary of this right now. Which I'm just like, bro, like, we're living for the Luigi Mattoni timeline now. Where, like, I literally told my friends as soon as that happened, maybe 2 weeks afterwards, like, because again, the guy committed a horrendous act. And then following that, all the memes started coming out because this guy's good looking. People started estimating he has a BDE, and it's just like, and then I eventually said, like, this guy's gonna get a documentary before, and he already did, and they already are working on one. It's only been like only a few months, which I'm just like, this is wonderful, this is great of just how this the social zeitgeist is right now with these sort of things. Like, as soon as a major event happens, like 2 to 3 months later, the documentary's already released, and I'm just like, that's just wonderful. That's just how fast the turnaround is to get clicks, to get views. So back to it. So the reason why this is a little bit more important to Nolan, because we finally get a long-awaited update on Henry's fiance, well, actually ex-fiance, Abigail, if you guys remember from the earlier season, which for me, I'm like, I haven't seen her in so long. I think the last time we saw her was in season 3, where we just got the offhand remark that she flew back with Henry to take care of him. And we kind of never heard of them since. We didn't even know they got married. We didn't know anything, And we did get Henry coming back for the 100th episode, but we never really got much of an update on what's going on with her. But no, they broke up since then, which again, it may sound shitty, but again, people are just, sometimes maybe at the moment they're compatible, maybe they're meant to be with each other, and then down the road it's like something changed, and they don't want to be, and that's totally natural of a decision process to make. However, despite that, Nolan still carries good spirits, as she's fully moved into LA to get into the filmmaking industry, to kind of be one of the next the next Ryan Coogler, the next big who's a big young director right now. I remember I remember Zuko from the Last Airbender movie by M. Night Shyamalan, did a movie, I think it was Monkey Man, that really blew up, and I'm like, I think that kind of like that, like giving a new voice of filmmakers time in the spotlight. And apparently after she broke up with Henry, this was her next big thing. Obviously, Nolan brought up her brief career past of, like, trying to join the LAPD briefly, and then him and Bradford kind of scared it out of her. Which was effective during those episodes. And yeah, so we kind of get a little catch up with her. She's been trying to make some local indie films for the last couple of years, getting a couple of vocal industrial heads to kind of go along with this, kind of support her, trying to maybe again be on the cult of, like, the next big thing. The problem is that she became a little bit too changey, like, it's like and this is exactly what the reason, like, for me, I kind of gave up on doing, if anyone remembers, like, my own old cut from like a decade ago, like me trying to, like, make sketches and whatsoever. Like, I've always had this change of energy where, like, I can never really commit on something too long term. It's like I'm always on the next thing. I'm always going to do this. Like, if I'm going to do something, it's got to be in the moment. Otherwise, it's already out the window. And the fact of the matter is that, yeah, no, that's kind of how it ended up for her. She had to reshot her movie multiple times, and her indie firm, indie distributor, which is apparently a very, very, very low budget production company, got fed up with her because she kept ringing up the budget. It wasn't worth it anymore, and eventually they cut her, even if they had a lot of shot footage already. But however, she decided to go to the indie scene, trying to get a local Indiegogo going, which she got funding for by Lopez, no doubt. Which I'm just like, Lopez, what are you doing? Like, shooting, like damn. Like that, because, like, again, like everyone knew her from Nolan, so, like, they trusted her, and even though, like, her and Henry broke up, they're still very close. Which I'm just like, yeah, that's kind of seems kind of random for, like, for a dad to still be best friend, like, on super good term. Like, okay, it's fine to be on good term, but, like, still, like, actively involved in someone's life like that. Like I think it's usually like that. There's usually like a cultural thing when like when someone you know's relationship ends, you kind of like morally just still be with the primary person you're close to, not really try to go after the other side. That's how I view it, at least. I don't really see much of an issue beyond that. But anyway, so yeah, so everyone's on board with Nolan's proposed daughter-in-law, which I'm just like, again, like those words, like I wasn't expecting that, especially the fact we're seeing her without Henry here is like still like a mind boggle to me. Um, but yeah, no. So eventually, she eventually started going down a documentary path. Eventually she started like being in more of the horror genre. But then she kind of felt a little unfulfilled by it, so she moved into documentaries, trying to research things. Lopez, being her producer, kind of dropped the fact that, oh yeah, no, we were working a lot of cases on Westview recently in the last couple months, and then that kind of inspired her to go after Glasser, who we knew already from the multi arc. We saw him going up against Harper, interviewing him, and at least him again doing this. Like, I'm not a guilty part. I did nothing wrong. All this Detective Harper did was get an innocent man long term. Which I'm like, my dude, you shut up. You deserve to be here. But that kind of pushed her into the Westview area, trying to make her do her own investigations, and obviously eventually. The police did get involved down the road with the missing person case, because by the time the core investigation started, it's been more than a week since anyone saw her, and they're trying to retrace the steps, and they go into which after the Glasser incident, Westview finally decided to invest some money into creating a position where the area that Glasser was operating from would be completely barricade off from the public anymore, not just being like a casual walk-in, like you got to go for clearance and everything. However, by the time they go out there, they try to speak to the security guard. He immediately starts getting baffled by it, starts running away, and then after that, once he gets caught, he has a secret shrine in his office for her, which I'm just like, my dude, you are a grown man. This is high school stuff. Move the fuck on. Anyway, moving on. Eventually, it was found out that Abigail was trying to get some angles in, trying to skip the boundaries to make her film happen. So she kind of lightly flirted with the dude, which I'm just like, number one, ladies and gentlemen, if you're being flirted by someone who has an ulterior agenda, they immediately pitch to, oh, you know what, I would love to get into, it's not genuine. Don't read into it. It's just a beneficial thing. It's not even a transactional thing, because even in a transactional thing, you would get something out of it. Which, again, she did promise them to, oh yeah, you're going to be a producer on my movie when you'll be invited to the premiere and everything. Which I'm just like, it's basically the equivalent of a screenwriter trailing a local coffee shop, sitting down all day, ordering unnecessary refills, talking to a couple people, pitching them on the script, making them write a line, and then saying, "Oh yeah, when my movie gets made, I'm gonna make sure you're in the credits as a contributing writer," and and then just like, yeah, that never happens. That's kind of like the vibe I was getting off of here. And even when they had him in interrogation, he said, "Yeah, I had a minor crush on her. Yes, I was trying to get with her," and even to the fact that he would actually leave his post on duty to go film stuff with her, to film her, become her, like a unpaid camera person for at least the core concept of her documentary. And that's kind of when started the creepiness started to happen. Really the eeriness of the place started seeping into Abigail, and it started really corrupting her to the fact that there has to be something more here that we don't know about. Even by the time the main filmmaking crew here looks at the footage that Abigail shot, they find there is a very distorted, audio in the background of it, which no one ever anticipated. Which, again, obviously this is 100% a perfect episode for Selena. Again, we don't really get much of her, superstition nowadays with everything going on. So the fact that she got to kind of, really be a contributing factor in this documentary was, it was really cool. It was really nice to see that. Eventually she started pivoting to the fact of okay, why is this here? How come this has been a very shut down place? And she starts wanting to uncover the truth, trying to really get into the matter of things, how did we get here? Her to the point where she broke into the office of the director and going into all the personnel files, which Chen's friend, Bradford's ex-girlfriend, used to work there, and even explained yeah, no, that place was a very interesting place to get my foot start into this field. even to the point where, like, she's known as a lot of patients, which originally when they're checked in, it's just on the generalness of like very minor depression, and then they kind of, morph into like a much more chaotic agent, a more a little bit like a little bit on that spectrum of demonicness, which again never was confirmed if it was like devil energy or whatever you want to talk about, but the fact of the matter is that this is this was the anticipation of it, just the breaking point to it, where I think eventually that's kind of like where the last time people saw her, I don't think there was anything else additional with Abigail that we knew about. Like after that moment, it kind of vanished after that. She kind of like dropped off the radar. A lot of the people she was working with, such as former movie producers, people that were assigned to her, like now her pseudo documentary, were kind of like just like baffled, like where the hell did she go? And even Selena's boyfriend, the musician that annoys John, was actually hired as like it's like, how often is Nolan getting texts from his son's ex-girlfriend? Like, again, it's respectful, it was an amicable breakup. But if that was my kids, like I am, no matter how close, even if they were daughter-in-law material, I'm like, I'm not going to do that out of respect of my child. But again, this is Nolan. No one's too nice for this sort of thing. So from there, that's when the real missing persons investigation began. We don't really get too much. They don't really get too many leads. They're trying to figure out the angle here. Maybe it was murder. Maybe it was kidnapping. Maybe it was what an accident. Regardless of whatever the case may be, they started trying to look for what the heck happened here. Where they did search the case for a few days. They didn't really get any solid leads, and then one day they get like an anonymous tipster saying that like there's some weird activity going around in the in back at Westview. So they head over there. Well, first Bradford and Chen head over there first, trying to look at the place. They don't find anything except this like very mysterious liquid on the wall, in which they touch it, and we'll get to we'll get to that momentarily. We'll get to that momentarily. Nolan and Juarez come into play as well. Going into it, they do notice some disturbing things. They go deeper into the side, and it turns out it was just another documentary people from a YouTube channel called The Ghost Files, which I'm just like, again, it's a play on ghost adventures, which was a really good show. Like, I remember when I was a teenager, I used to watch that show a lot. Like, whether or not it was real, like, I do believe in the supernatural. I really, really do. I have seen my grandmother a couple times, but I'm not like fully full body wise, but more like just signs that she's present. So I do believe in that. But and I know some people are still like very superstitious on that. That they don't believe them, but it kind of reminds me of them, a little bit, like just like the energy, the jokiness of like, just the style of it. Whether or not that was the core inspiration or not, I really don't know. But the fact of the matter is that, so they were here shooting their next episode into Westview, and it was funny to like, they were doing an interview with the producer for this documentary, and the documentarist was trying to interview them. So it was like kind of like a cross thing, and the documentarist was like, yeah, we're not doing this. I'm not giving you free content. Let's go. So then from there, I believe they were about to get kicked out by Nolan and Chen and Juarez, but they said they captured something on their spirit box, which if you don't know, because I know it, that it's basically an amplifier that uses a bunch of white noise signal to kind of give spirits an avenue, an opportunity for them to speak and for us to vocally hear them, and they do hear something. However, it doesn't sound too denial. It just sounds like a regular person. So they start looking around. They follow these two people as they go deeper into Westview, where they find this area where they do hear something actually in their earpiece. Eventually, they discover there's like a very like quite noticeable fake wall dividing them and another part of the building. So Nolan breaks it down. They look on the inside. It's Abigail. She's alive. So thank God. Apparently she got trapped there for 2 weeks. She was doing her own investigation, trying to sneak into Westview, and then she fell into a very secluded, like hidden corner of the facility where she fell down. She was there for like 2 weeks, and the only thing keeping her alive was a bunch of granola that she managed to pack in her backpack before she left, and this like a liquid that was like kind of keeping her alive, which was like, what water source is still active from a building that was condemned in the 70s? And then also we discovered there was a dead body in there, which I'm just like, that's just wonderful. That really is. So yeah, apparently she was taking it wasn't water. It was actually a hallucinogen that was never properly finished. So yeah, she's completely out of it right now. And it turns out that was the same liquid that Chen and Bradford stumbled into, which sadly they succumbed to, where they spent hours and hours in the Westview facility. What was the word? Out of it. Apparently it was just a version of a truth serum, which if you don't know what that is, it's what the name implies. It's nothing any magical. It's just I think it's a combination of chemicals and a combination of drugs that like when you take it, you actually become more susceptible to telling the truth. So it becomes very difficult to lie about it because it comes out naturally. And this is kind of where like Chen and Bradford take a moment to like really kind of really emotionally connect. Like this is the communication I've been waiting for, where Chen uses this opportunity like similar to like when Ted and damn, what's her name? Robin were like interrogating Barney when he was like super drunk, which was essentially their version of like the truth serum. Which I think we found out that Bradford had an embarrassing moment where he had a hamster crawl up his pants in the third grade, apparently because of all of his being strict parented by his dad. That when everything blew up in his face when it came to his former army contact that basically upended his life, he only saw fit to punish himself by breaking up with Chen as like his punishment, because like, okay, you did a very bad thing, you should be grateful you still have a job, but you need to still suffer in which that happened. And he understands because of his actions if Chen never forgives him again. And Chen does say, no, I already forgave you a while ago. And obviously, again, this is just brand new information for us to figure out. And they just continue joking about it, even back to when we get to like the interview live, and they're trying to like say you cannot air that in your documentary. And the Documentaries is like, yeah, no, I can't, because apparently everything is public use, which they have to post online for transparency's sake. So yeah, so no, from there, yeah, so sadly, that's how it happened, sadly, and they immediately quit the documentary because apparently the producer found that they also labeled baby names, which, again, I know some people read into that and say, oh my god, are they going to get pregnant? I'm like, well, actually, they did have a drunken night on Valentine's Day. I can't rule that out. I really can't. But regardless of the case, maybe they drop out of the whole documentary. We don't see that for the rest of the episode. So Nolan and Juarez take aside Abigail, where she's clearly hopped up on it, and they take her to the hospital, which they do confirm the diagnosis. Gray even confirms the fact that because it's a hallucinant, it's not addicting, that Chen and Bradford do not have to get a forceful medical absence. They can pursue onwards, thankfully, with their careers, thankfully speaking, despite the embarrassing footage that now exists of them, not in that context. And, well, despite that, they just assume, okay, Abigail's been found, we're good to go. And then I'm like, expecting myself, okay, that's the end of the episode. Like, it was kind of a quick episode. Now we still got 15 more minutes, bro. So, no. So apparently, after all this, like, Abigail decided to break in and decide, no, I'm doing a documentary about my story now, because I'm the one who actually witnessed it. Which, essentially, no one has to kind of, like, choose, because he can only do one exclusive interview because of the rights of the documentary. That a subject cannot be part of two documentaries of the same nature, for the sense of like I guess it's like over dipping on it. I guess no one again. I don't know why, but he picks Abigail over this guy, which I'm just like, dude. But like, yeah. So they switch from like nice fancy setup to non-professional setup. It's just like a guerrilla style filmography by her. In which they continue to talk about the case, about like there were some very sketchy details they found there, because again it became a crime scene, so they had to look for everywhere. So apparently they found a lot of secretive government documents, which essentially were at the time exploring an official use for a truth serum to be used by the U.S. government. However, sadly, it never came much traction at the time, which obviously again like brings to the question, because Westview never was identified as an official government site. So how come government documents, classified ones, even ended up here? Apparently they did some more digging. They found there was this one head of the board that was associated with it, that was poached by Westview after the program's conclusion, and he took his documents with him, which is kind of where we were there as he continued his research privately for a while, before eventually he decided to hide it off. It wasn't worth it anymore, so he sealed off his office, he sealed off everything, and he just immediately got to just hiding it, and then he died not too long ago with that secret intact until now. So because of that, Abigail decided to become another true crime documentarist, trying to now unearth what more can she find out about this. And I'm just like, I'm starting to lose the plot here. I really am. Not like that, but like when it comes to like the fact that we came from like a scripted horror movie to now a true crime documentary, guerrilla style in action, which I'm just like, this is wonderful. So from there, no. So she, however, was in the middle of filming a very fake running scene, which I'm just like, why? Which again would actually come into play down the road in editing, but like at the time, it's like I felt completely like forced in there. Like this was clearly going to be done for like post production duties. However, when she's in the middle of recording, I guess what would have been her intro to the documentary, she gets attacked from the back and then gets kidnapped by an unknown assailant. However, the unknown assailant failed to kind of pick out to the fact that a local neighbor was recording, and they caught his license plate and everything. So thankfully, they were able to manage to track it, and they found it back at Westview. This time, the actual offices in which they head inside, and they find Abigail being tied up and arresting the individual, which turns out to be the security guard we saw early in the episode. Apparently, he was coerced by the director to take her in and basically kind of get this off the record. So apparently the whole thing led into a much more bigger discussion where I guess it was like her ancestor or herself kind of was involved in this. And then at the time there was this whole thing with Westview where rich families can get members of their family in there for a price and then commit that certain family member to insanity should they choose to. For whatever reason or another. There was a subject that they were looking at earlier, which connected to the whole Zuzu case from a few weeks ago, the very weird AI subject, and that she was there. She was part of a rich family. However, sadly, after she got mentally committed and she was briefly declared insane, that actually allowed her to be omitted from getting the family fortune. So her brother got the entire stack of it. So, which again was unfair, but again, she's totally nonchalant about it right now. So they started doing more digging into it. They do discover this is still an active thing they're doing now, where rich families are doing this to kind of try to find a way to get certain family members off the proper charts, faking things to benefit themselves. So once they had enough of it, they did manage to arrest her and put her away for her crimes, which essentially will kick off a whole new wave of lawsuits for the victims themselves, and even for Glasser, going to be using this to his advantage down the road when it comes to his own defense trial coming up soon. And yeah, so by that point, so Abigail somehow did uncover a major conspiracy. Whether or not this actually goes into the Oscars or anything, that's a completely different story. But yeah, all's well that ends well, basically speaking. As again, Nolan's very much permissionless for his comfort continues as she brings over the man he hates, Selena's boyfriend, into his household to record music, and Nolan's just like, what are you doing? Like, why are you here? And Nolan he is who he is, just to the fact of again, allowing your son's ex-girlfriend to kind of film on the premises like this. And it's like, you have a song mantra that I never will understand. No, you very much do. So yeah, that kind of wraps up everything from it. How we end up the episodes that the Ghost Filers are back in Westview again. This time catching something completely paranormal, meaning that there is real paranormal activity happening over there. But we don't got time for that. They run away like cowards, and that's how we conclude this week's episode of The Rookie, which I enjoyed a lot. This was a very fun episode. I think this is one of the best documentary episodes we've gotten. I mean, I already forgot what the other ones were about, but because again it's been a while. But I remember the one with Frankie Muniz. I remember that one. But other than that, yeah, no, it's been a great ride for this one. To get Abigail to come back, do a whole documentary style again, and just have fun. These are just again, just things of The Rookie out of context, because again, we don't see them really joking. We do, but not to this extent. This was just fun. This was really, really fun. And I hope to God we do get another one next season. However that may end up working out to be, but it was really fun to see this format again. It really was, and also to get closure on Abigail, whether or not we get to see her again. At least we know what she's doing, and that hopefully she'll succeed wherever she goes. But other than that, like I said, this is a very fun episode, and I can't wait to get back to more serious stuff. But again, it's nice to have these moments of levity before things get serious again, which I only know one thing about next week's episode, which I'm just like, good luck. But with all that being said, I'm giving this episode 2 thumbs up. Let me know down below what you think of this week's episode of The Rookie. Let's comment down below. Let's have a conversation about it, because I would love to have that. But I believe that's going to do it for me today, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's the Two from ActionX, reviewing every episode in the 7th season of The Rookie. If you want to know what we're doing normally, What's the Two besides Rookie episode reviews, right now we are doing Madlock reviews each and every week after brand releases on CBS, and we are doing Suits LA's episode reviews each and every week after brand releases on NBC. But if you only care about The Rookie, your luck. We'll be back next week with another brand new episode review for you. So stay tuned until then. So to kind of give a little sneak peek on our next 5 weeks of content from The Rookie, we will be doing our next 3 weeks of coverage as normal, with every episode review leading up to the season finale. And then after that, the week after that, we will be doing a Season 8 predictions video, where I kind of give my thoughts and opinions on what I would love to see in the 8th season when it does come out, either this fall or next January. And then the following week, we will be doing a Season 7 review, spoiler free for anyone that is yet to watch the 7th season. Just kind of go into it with, like, blank eyes, basically speaking. And yeah, and that concludes our coverage. That'll take us to the very end of May, so we will still be here for a little while longer. So don't worry, I'm not going anywhere just quite yet. But again, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. Like, favorite, share if you want to. Ring that bell and follow us on social media for more. But until we see each other again, thank you so much for watching. Please stay safe out there. Be good to each other. And as always, peace out.